My wife's workout clothes broke an unwritten HOA rule, so the president tried to enforce it with her hands. She picked a wrong woman to grab. My wife, Lena, and I thought we'd found our perfect home in the gated Serenity Oaks community. We passed every check, paid every fee, but from our first walkthrough, we felt the gaze of the HOA president, Patricia. She wore a smile as thin as the rule book she worshipped. Even before we moved in, she'd make Lena wait at the entrance, verifying her guest status over and over. It was a petty power play disguised as procedure. I advised patience, thinking once we were official residents, the hazing would stop. I couldn't have been more naive. The moment we closed on the house, the real campaign began. Notices appeared for infractions that didn't exist. Our mailbox was an incorrect shade of bronze. Our welcome mat was an unapproved texture. Each slip of paper was delivered with a smug satisfaction. Neighbors would offer sympathetic glances, but never speak up. Fear was the currency here, and Patricia was the mint. Lena, ever the diplomat, killed her with kindness. Waves, baked goods, polite greetings. Patricia met every gesture with a cold stare or a new hyper-specific amendment to the community guidelines, emailed solely to us. That's when we understood. This wasn't about rules, it was a test of dominance. How far could she push before we bowed? Her authority was a house of cards, but she ruled a neighborhood afraid to sneeze. We chose a different path. Quiet, meticulous documentation. We paid legitimate fees, but contested every fictional fine. We saved every email, photographed every notice. Our calm compliance, our refusal to be angry or afraid, seemed to infuriate her more than any argument. A quiet person is a puzzle to a bully, and an unsolved puzzle becomes an obsession. The tension crystallized at the next board meeting. Patricia took the podium, her voice dripping with false concern. She spoke of declining community standards and inappropriate attire becoming a blight on our family values. She never said Lena's name. She didn't have to. Every head in the room suddenly turned our way. I felt Lena's posture shift beside me, from polite to poised. When I asked which written bylaw was being referenced, Patricia smiled. Some standards, she said, are matters of decency, not ink. The room fell silent. The trap had been publicly baited. The very next morning, after Lena's usual run, the first fine arrived via email. $1,500 for creating a public nuisance through indecent dress. We laughed, assuming it was a glitch. Then another came, and another, each more elaborate, each threatening liens and legal action. We didn't pay a cent. We simply forwarded the entire chain to our attorney and waited. Patricia's surveillance intensified. Her car would idle near our curb. Her walks past our house became constant. Our calm documentation was a wall she couldn't breach, and it was driving her mad. She needed a reaction, fear, anger, a scene. What happens when a tyrant's commands are met with silent, written proof? The breaking point came on a crisp Friday morning. Lena was stretching on her front sidewalk when Patricia materialized, cutting off her path. This was no accident. Curtains twitched on the street. Phones suddenly rose. "This ends today," Patricia hissed, clipboard clenched like a shield. "Your deliberate disrespect will be paid for, one way or another." Lena, calmly removing one earbud, replied that she owed nothing and had broken no rule. The composure was a spark to Patricia's gasoline. Her voice rose, screeching about morality and setting a bad example. When Lena turned to leave, Patricia's hand shot out. She didn't just point, she grabbed the strap of Lena's athletic top. The street froze. Lena's laugh was a sheer disbelief. "Are you actually putting your hands on me?" In a flash, Patricia lunged, swinging her clipboard. Lena's muscle memory kicked in. She'd taken self-defense for years. She deflected the swing, created space with a firm push. Patricia stumbled back, her dignity shattered on the pavement. Enraged, she charged again. This time, Lena's response was decisive. A single, controlled maneuver. Patricia landed on the grass, more shocked than hurt, wailing about assault. But the story wasn't hers to tell anymore.
It was on a dozen phone screens. The footage was crystal clear. The grab, the lunge, the defensive response. The security team, arriving late, reviewed a neighbor's video on the spot. Patricia's narrative unraveled in real time, her screams echoing against the visual proof of her own aggression. She tried to press charges. She filed frantic, sloppy reports with the HOA board, but the dam had broken. Neighbors, emboldened by evidence, submitted their videos and statements. The hearing wasn't a trial for Lena, it was a reckoning for Patricia. She entered the room dressed for a coronation. She left it with a rain and ashes. The board, faced with irrefutable footage from multiple angles, had no choice. All fines against us were voided. Patricia was found guilty of harassment, physical misconduct, and abuse of power. She was forced to resign immediately in order to pay our legal fees. A gasp in the room was almost as satisfying as the look on her face. Now, Lena runs every morning without a second glance. The new HOA board publicly revised their code of conduct. Patricia's name is now a whispered lesson in what happens when petty power meets principled resistance. Justice didn't come from a fight in the street. It came from the courage to document, the patience to wait, and the neighbors who finally found their voice. If you appreciate stories where the right person finally stands their ground, show your support. Hit like and help Trending Tales Pulse bring you more real-life dramas with satisfying conclusions.